Yeah, I know I said the news is a little bit slow today, and it has been. It's been so incredibly boring. But there is one thing I could talk about. It is I forgot what I was going to say. The Venezuela boat strikes, right? The Venezuela boat strikes. Honestly, my honest opinion, I really don't care too much for the boats. Not a big deal. It's an exhausting thing because nobody cares about these guys, right? No one actually cares that some guy, probably a drug smuggler, ended up, dying. Oh, pardon me. Nobody really cares about that. They pretend to care. But in reality, you think these guys from Congress care? These people who aren't even showing up to their jobs, and during this government shutdown, you really think they care? You think they care about you? Funny joke. So here's the breakdown. So Venezuela has been sending boats out, allegedly carrying drugs, and the Trump administration is blowing them up. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. I want you. Okay, yeah. I don't want this video taken down because of copyright due to my awful singing. And the thing is, it's not a big deal historically. It's not a big deal now, even though they try to pretend it is. And always remember back. This has been news for only a few weeks. It reminds me of reading about I believe it was the Barbary Wars, right? Thomas Jefferson, Tommy J, president of the USA. But Thomas Jefferson, I believe they never declared war on the Barbary pirates. Actually, you know what? This is not really a big deal. I have an article pulled up, but that's the most amount of research I've done for this. But I can look that up for you. We're just going to do this now because we're going to pull up ChatGPT because it's going to give us a quick answer. Right? I usually don't like ChatGPT, but Google kind of sucks now. Google has gone downhill so badly. Oh my, it's insane how bad Google has gotten. It's impossible to use, and everything that comes up is AI, and it kind of sucks as well. You have to actually go down and read the articles. I know, it's like Wikipedia. You gotta actually use it to find the sources, but their sources suck. Okay, we're gonna search up, did the U.S. declare war on the Barbary pirates? If it says no, I will feel so vindicated. Good question. The United States never formally declared war on the Barbary pirates. Absolute W. Honestly, we are feeling vindicated, right? So, Barbary pirates, there's this awesome story. I think it was Stephen Decatur. I think he blew up the USS Philadelphia, which got captured by Barbary pirates. And they used a captured Tunisian ship in order to blow it up. Right? So, the Barbary pirates, you should all read books on it. It is the most interesting thing ever. I don't remember which book I read on it, but I think it was just called The Barbary Pirates and Thomas Jefferson, something like that. And it was very interesting. But the United States never engaged. So while the United States engaged in warlike actions and used military force, it never issued a formal declaration of war against the Barbary states. Sound familiar to the 21st century? The United States has always done stuff like this, right? So to pretend otherwise is a lie. I have some solutions on how the United States could get rid of this drama, but I'll get to that at the end. I'll share my solutions at the end, but I just wanted to read this one thing from a U.S. congressman. I believe it was Adam Smith. Okay, this is an article from, I don't care about Maduro, Colombia, Venezuela. They probably are They are sending us drugs. Everybody knows it. Come on. And the thing is, the United States has turned a blind eye to those things in the past when certain administrations, Reagan, wanted to get things done. But pretty much every other time, it's been our enemy, more or less. Well, I guess since Maduro. Well, who's before Maduro? Chavez. Venezuela's been our cold enemy since Chavez. Everyone in South America hates Chavez. That's a fun fact. There's your fun fact of the day. People in South America hate Chavez. At least the ones I've talked to. South Americans. Okay. The attack on Tuesday night was a departure from 7 previous strikes that the U.S. had targeted vessels in the Caribbean, or Caribbean. I don't care. Pronounce it how you want. Hexas said on social media, the latest strikes killed 2 people, bringing the death toll to at least 34 from attacks that began last month. The strike represents an expansion on the military's targeting area, as well as a shift to waters off of South America, where much of the cocaine from the world's largest producers is smuggled. Okay. It says that Hegseth pretty much views it as a war on the homeland, and cartels are waging war on our borders and our people. That's from Secretary of Now War, Pete Hegseth. Coolest nickname ever, by the way, Hegseth. You're trying to get me to not like this guy. But the Trump administration has declared them justified and relying on the same legal authority that Bush used for the war on terror. Okay, yeah, it's pretty much everything you think that they said. They're using the GWAT, Global War on Terror, to justify the strikes they're doing, even though historically they do have precedent. And here's one thing, there's concerns that it could be innocent people. I've seen concerns like, what about the United States nation's rulings? And what about international law, maritime law? Here's the truth, right? The United States, I've spoken to a few naval officers. Oh, yeah. One naval officer and a few enlisted naval guys. And I've heard it said from other people that when the United States Navy is going to strike these people or is going to strike anybody, they know who they are, right? It doesn't matter if you're for example, I'm going to use the example. If you're a random guy, if you're a supposed random civilian in Somalia, but you are actually, a pirate, the United States Navy knows that, right? As soon as we fly a plane overhead and we take a picture of these guys on these boats, we know who they are. The United States is very good at collecting intelligence. So I do not doubt that these guys, personally, I do not doubt that the people that were struck were drug smugglers. Odds are they have been on our radar for quite a bit of time. Let's see. I'm going to skip down. Rand Paul has clashed with VP J.D. Vance about the strikes and said during a floor speech, Congress must not allow the executive branch to become judge, jury, and executioner. It's been that way for a while. Read the Federalist. We'll go back. Jefferson's kind of a hypocrite. At least during his presidency, he was a bit of a hypocrite compared to, earlier Jefferson. But whatever. So Rand Paul is butting heads with J.D. Vance, and Rep. Adam Smith of Washington State, the top Democrat of the House Armed Service Committee, called this week for a hearing on strikes after the commander overseeing the South American region abruptly announced earlier his retirement. In a statement, Smith said he had never seen such staggering lack of transparency on behalf of the administration and the department. That changes things. Never had seen such staggering lack of transparency on behalf of an administration and the department to meaningfully inform Congress on the use of military force. Adam Smith, how long has he been in office? Since the 90s, I believe. How long has Adam Smith been in Congress? 28 years, and he's saying he's never seen anything less transparent. You know, Adam Smith was there since Fast and Furious. Adam Smith was there since enhanced interrogation methods. Adam Smith was there since, you know, tech companies admitted to censoring certain posts that disagree with, you know, the administration. I guess you could say the previous administration. He was there for the targeting of whistleblowers during the Obama administration. He was here during, you know, the Trump's last administration when, you know, during those lockdowns that he started. What else is he here for? He was here for the COVID-19 lockdowns, tax censorship. You know, yeah, Adam Smith has been around for a while. You know, everything John Brennan did when he was in the Obama administration, Adam Smith was in Congress for that. Adam Smith was in Congress while John Brennan was pulling his crap in the U.S. government. You know, all that hope and change we wanted from Obama, John Brennan took a fat, stinking dump on it. But with that out of the way, Adam Smith's, if we want to talk about lack of transparency, how about you shut up? The adults are in the room. Not me, but Rand Paul. You know, let Rand Paul criticize the Trump administration. I don't want to hear anything from you, any performative statement. I've never seen anything so transparent in my life. Dude, how long have you been here for? You've been here 28 years and you're telling me you've seen nothing worse? What about those massacres that were going on in Iraq? What about those massacres that happened with U.S. allies in Afghanistan? You know, I support the troops and whatever, but, you know, there's a few things I disagree with. Massacres and torture. You know? So, come on. I don't think this counts as a massacre. The United States Navy, in all likelihood, knew 100% who they were. There is historical precedent, and I really doubt the sincerity of what you are saying. And now, time for my solution. You know what? We could get rid of all of this. You know, we don't need the United States Navy to blow up these ships. Listen to this idea. I know it sounds kind of silly, but letters of marque, right? There are these papers approved by Congress that allow private ships to engage in actions on other vessels. The United States could just sign a piece of paper and allow other people to take care of this dirty work for them. You know, we could bring pirates back. We could bring back privateers. So, you know, here's my not so serious solution. But, you know, if the United States government ever does want to approve of this idea, give me a call, right? But, you know, bring back privateers. I have experience working on ships. I know how to shoot guns. I think it just sounds so fun to be a pirate, a legal pirate. But no, in all actuality, I think this is kind of a nothing burger. I really doubt the sincerity of the administration. I do think it would be kind of nice if the president listened to Congress. But all the stuff they're saying is bull crap. So that's my thoughts. It's a bit of a rant, like all of my videos. Not too newsy, just my boring little thoughts. But end video.